What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we're taking a look at the Generations leader, Jetfire. And wow, guys, this one's pretty good. I gotta admit, I really like this guy. Let's talk about his plane just a little. The wings do articulate, so you can articulate them back. These come down for the fast pack, but they can stay up while you have the fast pack on if you want them to. Landing gear in the front can go into the cockpit, and unfortunately the ones on the legs don't. I wish those did. That's one thing I wish was different. And if I can get it open, because I have absolutely no fingernails here. Come on. There we go. Cockpit opens up for the controls, so I'm sure it's probably ripe for some repro labels or something like that. I don't know. I don't actually see too many repro labels I'd put on here, but yeah. Now, overall, I'm pretty good with this size, actually. Here he is next to your Masterpiece Seeker. Let's point this up so we can see a better size comparison. You can see that your Masterpiece Seeker generally is a little bit taller overall in jet mode. Not much, a little bit of a difference, but ultimately it's okay. And if you're a G1 person that, you know, likes Jetfire to be that crazy behemoth that he was in the show, then right off the bat this guy's probably not going to be for you. But I always felt that he was way too big in the TV show, and that they only did it because the toy was so huge compared to every other toy. So I'm actually okay with him being roughly the size of the Seekers. Now it comes with, of course, all these accessories. Biggest problem here is they're chrome, and while they shine and look nice, I kind of wish they weren't chrome because they are prone to peeling and chipping of the paint. I'm not sure if it's apparent on this one, but yeah, you can kind of see down there where some of the translucent red paint has come off the chrome. Fortunately, the chrome, there's a nice big spot. Fortunately, the chrome itself hasn't done anything, but that is disappointing. And I do wish they gave us 2 of these guns. A, because there's no place to, like, once you peg all this stuff together, which clearly it kind of is supposed to do something, but you peg this together, and there's no place to put this aside from just sticking it on the side, so then you add an extra piece here, and it's just awkward. And, yeah, in jet mode, they actually want you to put it on the front here, and I just think that that kind of looks ridiculous, so personally, I rather put these on the peg holes on the wings like this. So again, I could use a second one so I could balance that out. So let's take this apart and let's put these in the way that the instructions tell you all these guns are supposed to go. So you put the one in the front here. We take our assembly apart here like this. Fast pack just takes these pegs and we just clip them on here like that. It does hold pretty good, but it still will wobble. And as you can see, if you do want the wings up, you can still put them up. So I do like that design. I personally like them down. That's how my G1 was. That's how this one goes. Now these ones here, you can see they're carved out. They go right on the legs to cover these holes here on the legs, or the wheels I should say. Now the hand ones, well, you don't know they're hand ones because he's in his jet mode, but they go on these big hollow open pieces here. And this is how the instructions want you to have Jetfire. I'm not a huge fan of that, especially because the way these sit on these hands, I don't like the fact that they're like a converging beam. It just bugs me. So like I said, I take these off, I put these here. Again, still would like to have a second one. I actually have seen a pretty cool repaint of Jetfire, so I might, if I see one, pick up a second, assuming I can get it for retail, and repaint it and just steal his gun for this one. And I'll just leave my custom without a spare gun. But while I'm talking, there we go. So this is how I prefer to have it. It expands out the fast pack a little bit more. These are still on the bottom facing forward, and assuming I can get a second gun sometime, I think that cannon looks way better on the side, and he is super armed and ready for combat. So So let's get this guy transformed. We're going to start, we'll take his fast pack off. That's about the extent of what we need to take off here. We'll unpeg these feet here from the wings, and we'll close this on up. And then this part is a little tricky to go from airplane to robot mode, but you kind of have to put a little bit of pressure so you can flip these pads on up. And I can't really tell you the best way to do it, just that that's what you have to do. We can release the cockpit here, which does fold all the way back like this, and it's a little tough to get it in and out of that position. As you heard, it kind of went and made a weird click. Anyway, once we've got that, we can also disconnect the back of the jet here, which is just on this folding joint. Mine is just pretty darn stiff, and fold it up like so, and compress this down like that. Then it kind of becomes a little bit of a mess. So we take this piece, and this is why we need these tabs out of the way. As this piece is here, we then, and that was Jetfire's mask that fell off, but that's okay. We will show that off after. Need to get down here and there we go. Flip this whole piece out like so. Once you have that out, you can actually close those little panels on up, and we'll turn his head back on around here. Now you have this, you can kind of work with absolutely everything here. We gotta split the legs up like this, split the arms out like this, and then once we have all this kind of split apart, we can now take the head assembly and bring it on down and forward like so. And so now we have that in place, we'll go ahead and we'll finish up the legs, rotate them so they're facing the right direction, peg this in, then we can close this on up like that. Whoops, don't know if you can see it. So we can now take this and close this on up, and you can see it has some tabs here to go into the legs. That's about the extent that holds it to the bottom here, and then as you take these and close them, they should tab in to the tops here like this. And that'll hold the top assembly together better. And then it's just kind of a matter of cleaning up his hands here. So we got that. We'll split his legs down here, and we'll bring his foot out. He's got a nice set of heel sprays here, and there is these big joints on the back here, so you can get his foot way forward, which is nice, like that. And there we go. We've got Jetfire in his robot mode. So before we go ahead and accessorize Jetfire here, let's actually talk his articulation. The head is on a up and down swivel, and then the rotation here, which does make his neck get a little bit weird in certain poses based on how it works. But in most natural poses, it's not really too big of an issue. And certainly when you have him turned to the side, you don't really see it nearly as much. To the arms, we have this cut joint here to swivel in and out, and we have nice ratchets on the arms. Really 360 is a bit tough with the back kibble, but that's okay. No huge loss there. When it comes down to his hips, unfortunately no waist articulation. It would have been nice, but it's just a solid piece based on how it transforms. So we'll come down to the legs. Actually, let's go back to the arms. Bicep swivel and very tough ratcheted elbow. Now down to the legs. Nice clicky universal joint that everybody loves. Great ratcheted knee. Unfortunately, no ankle tilt, which would have been nice, but it's okay. And then you do have this, like I said, nice big bulky swivel that lets you do a lot with his, the forward back positioning of his feet. So overall, it's real solid articulation. No real complaints there. So we can actually go ahead and arm him up a bit. And if you don't want to put his battle mask on, what you can actually do is slot it right onto the rifle here. You can see it has the two little grooves here. It's intended to receive this. Just like that. And sits there. Or actually, you don't even need to use those slots. You can use the bottom one. I prefer the bottom one just because I like when his mask kind of sits flush. But I think it's intended to go up on the top one. But, you know, once he's all positioned, it stays on there just fine. Fast pack, of course. We'll take these off. And this is the one thing that I hate about this toy. Like, back in 2006, 2007 with the Classics line, like, we would never get these big open hollows. And while I understand, you know, we do these open hollows here and we hide it on the legs, to actually have it on the front of the arm here is distracting. And they solved that by taking this and, you know, letting you plug that in and it hides it. But, you know, his gun is intended to have things attached onto it and build out and bulk it out. Like, you could put everything he has onto this gun. So it's just really disappointing, you know, that this would be left open. Like, I don't know, I wish they did not cut, you know, the 2 cents or 1 cent probably that every figure saved by having these arms open. Or at least did the hollow like they used to, where the inside was hollow but the outside you couldn't see it. So, I don't know, would have rather have had that. Because it makes this gun, it makes me never want to use this gun. And if I do get another one of these to repaint, I will be filling that in and painting it. So we'll take those and we'll put them on there because it looks bad. And then we'll take the fast pack, and of course it still clips in on the back. Now if you left it on, it's going to be this way. There's nothing stopping you from flipping it and putting it the other way, aside from aesthetics. Let me raise this because this goes pretty high up in the air if you leave it like that. And unfortunately, unlike the Classics version, there's no way for these to fold down or anything to go over his shoulders. So that's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit too high for me. I just leave it on the way it was, and I'm fine with how much that just sticks out. And again, it really would have been nice if there was some kind of like telescoping mechanism, maybe to take the thrusters out and like angle them over his shoulders, kind of like some kind of cannon, even these back ones. But, you know, just not something that they've done. So, and yes, he does sort of have the jet hanging off his back, but really it's a pretty complicated transformation of these pieces, so I can forgive the fact that the cockpit has no real place to go. It would have been really neat if they had some way to take this and tuck it away and give him that G1 jet look also. Maybe like flip him upside down or something, but they didn't do that. But, you know, that's just wishful thinking. So there we go, we have everything except his mask. It fell off. If you want to put the mask on, which I really enjoy the look of the mask because I liked my G1 toy, there you go. You just kind of clip it on in place, and, you know, it's kind of got that animated Jetfire vibe to me. Or maybe with Skyfire, I don't know, but I like it. It's an extra nice little add-on. I kind of wish the visor of this was maybe red to emulate the G1 toy, but I can understand that that would have been an extra color of plastic to cast or something like that, so I understand why it hasn't been done. But I do like it. I think it was a awesome addition. And, you know, if you prefer the cartoon, then you got, you know, the Jetfire face underneath, and if you prefer the toy, then you got that face too. So really quite cool. So one thing I forgot to mention is that this gun here does have a missile and it shoots it, but, you know, missiles. So it's in its box and it'll probably stay there for the rest of its existence. Here's some comparisons here. I should have probably had him in his jet mode next to him, but the leader is much bigger. This is the Dark Skyfire, which is kind of how I would like to repaint this guy, except I think I'd like to stick with red over purple. But, yeah, so this is Dark Skyfire. Just a tiny character comparatively, and honestly, if it's not for, well, one thing, this one's heavier than this one, which is a bummer. If this guy were made with this type of plastic, you know, these nice filled holes and stuff, like, I would give this guy perfect score, pretty much. Maybe a 9. We won't go perfect, but it'd be close. Like I said, I'm okay with this guy on Masterpiece scale because he is smaller than, or he's taller than your average Seeker. And personally, I like the fact that he's about the size of the Seekers. It never made sense to me that he was so big. But that's just my personal thing. Like I said, you may not feel the same way. Thundercracker dance. Anyway, yeah, you may not feel the same way as I do. But, yeah, just my opinion. And for classics, hey, I think that looks pretty okay. Even better if you're using the actual Voyager Optimus Prime as your Optimus. And we'll throw in the Bumblebee mold with bumper here, just for comparison. And I really think that looks good. So it's really cool that it fits, in my opinion, 2 completely different lines. So let's transform him back to his jet mode, and we'll be done with this. Like I said, start with turning his head the other way here. Disconnect this. Disconnect this. That's going to free everything up here. You can see we open that. We'll open these pieces here. We'll take the arms and we will bring them all the way up and fasten them together. Make sure that we have the actual holes for it if you intend on using them. Like that. I believe you can still transform even if you don't have it in that position, but that's only if you really want the guns. Once we have that, rotate the legs like this. So like that, and then rotate this. And this whole assembly is going to rotate all the way on around. Before we do that, we should probably take care of the foot. Make sure you have that big swivel all the way back, and you can close this on up as much as you can. Otherwise, if you're not doing that and you don't pay attention to it right, I accidentally did it one time. I couldn't figure out why that stuck out so far. It was just because I forgot that main swivel, basically. So take that, all this stuff folds back. Take this wing assembly, fold that back like this, and that's going to give you the holes back here for these pegs to actually peg on into and make that solid connection like that. So there we go, we got pretty much the back half of the jet done. Now we'll take this piece here, rotate it all the way around, and this part always kind of freaks me out just a tiny bit. And it's just because it always feels like it doesn't quite want to work right with me. Alright, so like I said, this part kind of creeps me out because it never feels like it's working right. If you get it like this, and then everything kind of gets in position, but you can see that huge gap between this, and the thing is that this has to go further, and it pushes down real tight in there. So you can see once I push that down, now everything is roughly in alignment. So you can now just take this stuff and kind of pop it in position like so. And then just a matter of closing the jet up. And there is a, oh, I thought there was a tab there. So then, I am sorry, I was wrong. It's just the front pieces here clipping in, kind of holding everything together in this black piece folding up towards the cockpit that really just tightens everything down. And there you go, you got Jetfire back in his jet mode. So really, I think if you can get him for retail, he is highly worth the cost. I think he's a great toy, only diminished by some of these things, the cost savings measures. Certainly these are better than the G1 ones that actually like crack your knuckles, but you know, I could have done without this. It would have been nice if that was gone. Same for the thighs, but it bothers me less on the thighs. And yeah, other than that, he's a great toy. And final verdict, I'd say probably a 7 or 8 out of 10, based on the feeling of him being really light and cheap feeling. But in terms of the actual, if I were to ignore the plastic, I would have probably given it a 9 or 10, or if the plastic was built by old standards. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.